Hi viewers. So I think a fabulous day, not only for the Indian markets but for the country as a whole. I think we are very proud for our soldiers. We're very proud of the army. We are very proud of the defense forces. The way this surgical strike has been done has actually filled our hearts with glory, and actually it gives immense proud to be a part of such a fantastic country, which actually, uh, it's a democratic country, but when it comes to sovereignty, protection of sovereignty, we are absolutely on target on that as well. So overall, I think a fantastic day for not only Indian markets also, and we'll discuss in detail why I'm saying so. From the global markets, if we talk about, or let's say we talk about the Indian market first, and then we come to global markets today. So Indian markets, of course, this was an event which was to a certain extent being seen as a hangover incident for the Indian markets. But what has happened of late is that Indian markets were not trying to give away these levels. So we have seen some around 10, 12 days of consolidation now at these levels continuously. And every time we were trying to go up, but we were seeing selling because of the nervousness of two things. One was tariffs, and most importantly, because of India Pakistan, which the country was expecting that some kind of retaliation would be done. But nobody was aware how big and when it will be. So, yesterday night, that operation was done. It was, as expected, a very precise attack on the targets of Pakistan, which is 9 locations, and no harm has been done, at least to the Indian soldiers. That is what we are seeing from the reports as of now. And now the bigger question is whether India will retaliate more, or is it done, or Pakistan will retaliate more, or he will keep quiet. So I think the my view is that Pakistan will take the same stance as it has taken during the last two surgical strikes. So I don't think we'll have any kind of bigger escalation from Pakistan. The only worry is whether India strikes more or India takes more, attacks on these terrorist organizations. That is the only possibility which can further fuel the war. The chances of this is also very limited because the strike has been done ferociously, and more importantly, 4 locations out of these 9 locations are inside Pakistan. See, other two strikes, whatever it has happened in the POK area. Today also 5 locations were in POK, but 4 locations were actually in Pakistan, and one of the location was very close to Lahore. So actually, we have you know big enough. We have given them a very big scar on their heart, which they will remember for many times to come, because it's a very bad feeling for any international country or a sovereign country when a other country comes to their land, hits them, and go away. Of course, the report from Pakistan TV is saying that no such attack has been done on their soil. So if Pakistan is saying that no attack has been done, so they cannot retaliate at all. If they are saying no attack has been done, which means that nothing has been done and they can't attack India further. So the chances of Pakistan attacking India is very less, very limited. This will not happen. Can India strike more? Again, chances are very less, because the kind of speeches that we've seen from Mr. Modi, or the statement which has come, there has been no indication at all for further escalating the war. I think the a message has been sent to Pakistan once again. Be careful, and this time we have taken a lot of time. This time we've taken bigger steps in terms of diplomacy also, economic sanctions also, and we have actually been successful in actually, you know, almost tears in the eyes of Pakistan army as such, because they were afraid of India attacks on a full-fledged war. They are not in a position to fight it. Also, I think they will remember now this, that India can escalate these things further, and probably what I feel is that in many months to come now, we'll not see these kind of attacks again, and India has solved their purpose, and probably I don't think that we will also be escalating further on this. So having said this, now our two other problems which remain is the tariff war and the valuations. So tariff war, again, we are seeing some kind of always good news only every day. Now yesterday also news have come which is showing that uh, Chinese government and Mr. Trump government. I think both the foreign ministers or the commerce ministers are going to meet on this weekend, and they will try to have first talks on this kind of a trade war. So I think that meeting has begun, and if that has begun, I think we are moving towards a conclusion. We're moving towards solution, which markets have been anticipating, and that's the reason why markets are rising. Almost 9 consecutive days. If you move yesterday, U.S. markets were plus, S&P was plus, which has broken the record of almost 20 days, 20 years. So if that be the case, then if India's China also is starting to move towards resolution, then that particular factor may also start winding down. But the problem is that even if they start negotiating, see the best of the uh, let's say equilibrium which people are expecting is that the tariffs will come down to 60%, which I think Mr. Trump has already told in his election propaganda also, that they will be putting around 60% tariff to China. There it will stop. So it will not be 145%, it will come down to 60% on select products, not on everything. So this is where I think tariff will stop between China and US, and I think China is almost ready to accept that, because they know that they're going to manage those things, and some kind of talks will still continue. It's not that it will not continue, but markets will try to see that kind of equilibrium and it will somewhere settle down there. But the problem is, even with that 60% tariff, can we avoid India's, or let's say US inflation numbers? Can we avoid the stagflation, which chances are growing every day? Can that be avoided? So today is the Fed meeting's outcome day. I think some 1:30 in the night we'll have the Fed chairman speech. Interest rates, we're not expecting anything to happen, so that is the status quo that is given now. Even when Mr. Trump is trying a lot with Mr. Powell, but I don't think anything will happen on the interest rate front. So we are only interested in what Mr. Powell will say in his speech. I think that speech is lined up somewhere around 1:30 in the morning, late night today. So Mr. Trump, Mr. Powell, if he gives signals of that he is unclear, and he's seeing inflation being higher, he's seeing slowness in the GDP growth, etc., all those things, and yet he's seeing the inflation will remain high. So if he sees chances of stagnation very high, and if he says that I will not be able to cut rates until unless the inflation numbers go down, then probably you will see a massive sell-off from the US markets, because they are not prepared for it. At least the July parameter is saying, July forecast is saying that the market is expecting a rate cut, because they're showing around 65 to 70% probability. So if that be the case, then this Fed chairman's speech becomes very important. How he is seeing the economy, what is his trajectory, and all those things. See, US markets are still factoring in around 3 rate cut for the year, which might happen because, anyways, the growth will slow down very fast. If at all these tariffs remain, which I think they will remain. See, the countries which US can negotiate very fast, or let's say which are very easy to crack, deals which are easy to crack, those deals have also not been announced. And don't forget, we're already into 40 days into the extension with the tariff for 90 days, which Mr. Trump has given. So हम already 50% उसका खा चुके हैं time का. We're into 3rd of July, that deadline will stop. And no major deals are still being announced. Remember, on the last weekend, the statement came from White House that they'll be concluding 2 deals in this week. Nothing has happened as such on that front as well. So even if the tariffs settle down 50-60%, still I would say inflation will remain very high in US, and we will see growth slowing down, and we will see some kind of recession coming to US. So I am not comfortable, even though those 50-60% tariffs remaining on the Chinese goods, that will again bring in pain for US. The pain will not stop. We can only expect the pain to stop if this entire thing is rolled back, or at least we remain in the 10% rate, which is the base rate for all countries. Even if we settle down there, then only there's a chance that US may avoid recession. We will see some kind of growth in US. Don't forget, US is still the growth engine of the world. Whatever it is, the way they consume, they are still the growth engine of the world. So if that slows down, we will see problems in the overall global trade. We'll not see volumes as such, and things will settle down not very in a very righteous way. So my take on US market still remain nervous. Let's see what Powell has to say in this. What is his visibility saying? I don't think he will stretch himself very far. He will still say that we are data dependent. We'll see how data is coming out, and we'll take our actions accordingly. But I think he will give his view on growth, which he has to give, on inflation, which he has to give. And at least the dot plots projection has to come through. So these three things and whatever he says on the speech is a bonus. We'll see what comes out from the US today night, which is very important for the next trigger. Another important thing which is happening is the if you would have heard a lot about that rise in the Taiwan dollar by around 10% in 2 days. See, that is the fear. That is the second fear, and that is very prominent. If the dollar is being sold off aggressively, if the bonds are being sold off aggressively of US, then where is that money going? The problem is that money is buying the Asian currencies. That is the problem. Even if you see rupee, it has traveled a lot from 88 lows. It's now around 84.5, 85. There's those kind of levels. हम भी appreciate हुए हैं. So is Taiwan, and Taiwan growing by 10%. I think from March end onwards, April onwards, it has grown by around 14%. So if the money is now chasing Asian currencies, then there's again a problem. Why? Because that will make the Asian exports expensive. No, none of the countries want that. अगर ऐसा होगा तो ताइवान के सेमीकंडक्टर्स हैं, चिप्स हैं, सोलर पैनल्स हैं, those all will start becoming costlier and they will be out of trade. And Asia never wants that. That was the Plaza Accord which happened some years back, in which America forced the countries to, you know, increase the value of their Taiwan of their currencies. And if this is the value, if the money is going into Taiwan dollar, which means that they were undervalued. They were artificially undervalued. That is why the money is chasing them, right? So that is the case. तो फिर Asian markets दोबारा थोड़े से uncompetitive हो जाएंगे. And this is what US wants. They want dollar to remain low. They want other countries, other currencies to grow higher, and that will put pressure on the exports of the Asian countries. That's the second game which is already started and it's going on. Let's see how it goes further. But that will bring some kind of a breaks and some kind of instability in the Asian, or let's say currency markets, which will now drive our markets further. That's the second point we need to watch. So first is India, Pakistan we need to watch. At least the retaliation from India, which I'm seeing is pretty much done. But let's see what happens in today and tomorrow. Second is Fed Powell's speech, what he says about inflation, GDP growth, unemployment, and further on the tariff, etc. That we'll see a close watch. The money chasing the Asian currencies will make Asian exports expensive. That's the third thing we need to watch, which is actually growing up now in terms of the threat. And what will cause a problem to us is that the exports of the Asian country will not remain competitive. That's the problem, right? These are three things we need to watch in terms of global fronts. Apart from that, I don't think there are any bad news as such, and things are going. The problem with India now has always been so the price action which India's market are showing is phenomenal. So one thing you need to understand that we have taken around 12 days now consolidation on these levels. We have ignored, or let's say we have digested many bad news in this last 10 12 days. With India, Pakistan, we have followed with a very little cut, or maybe we will end up not even a cut also. I'm recording this video around 2:30 also, so probably I'm not sure how the markets will close. But as of now, it was flat, and that's what I'm assuming. But what is happening is that we digested even this kind of a big incident. Tariff को already digest कर चुके हैं. One more good thing which has happened within the India and UK trade deal that has been signed now, which means that India's 99% export to US is now tariff free. Europe's 90% imports to India or exports to India, let's say, those are tariff free. So it's a free trade kind of agreement which has been signed between India and UK, which is a great beneficiary to India, to probably Europe as well, but to India also. So we are being seen as the country of growth, the country of consumption, the country which everybody wants to shake hands with. So that one advantage also we have now. अब एक ही disadvantage है, that is the valuation. We are the costliest country now in terms of valuation in the entire world today. Entire world. That's the problem. That is exactly the problem. So yesterday also I told, day before yesterday I told that we shot the bank. Yesterday we got 700, 800 points. We saw the results of Bank of Baroda yesterday. Pathetic results from Bank of Baroda also. We are seeing some results from PNB. I think that those results are also not good. So the results are not coming good. That's the problem. So now if we increase the prices, or if the stock market is making 25,000, 25,500, then you are increasing the P multiple. Up for that, I cannot comment much because if the markets want to give higher P multiple to for a lower growth, if the market want to give higher multiple, if the market wants to give higher multiple, so be it. Nobody can help it. Technically and fundamentally, तो नहीं लगता है कि market should cross around 24,800 or let's say 25,000. The problem is the liquidity, which is now this is the 14th day today where FIIs would be cash positive, which has happened in last 5 years. So in December 2020, it happened last, and now it is happening with nothing on ground on because of that. So if at all we don't have advantage of numbers, so either the market is anticipating a better quarter next one, or even that, so market is looking beyond it. That is one part. Or the market is giving you higher P multiple. At least now it will look as a higher P multiple. But if you get growth in terms of earnings for next quarter and beyond that, then the P multiple again come down. So if the market want to give a P multiple higher, market should go higher. Other than that, there is no negative for India as such. Nothing at all, except for this valuation because of the numbers that we're getting. So my view is that market actually wants to go 25,000 at least, or 24,800, or let's say 868 जो पुराना high था उसका. I think markets want to go there. For time being, it's looking like that market want to go there. What will take it there? Nifty IT, of course. It could even get a good news from, let's say, powers in terms of rate cut, or let's say economic progress again coming back to US. Tariff, we are still seeing some kind of resolution, or probably very far away, but still some kind of positive remarks here and there. If those things happen and if we see some kind of certain FPIT, we may reach to 20,000. Good thing is FMCG has started performing a little bit. That's again a slightly better part. We're seeing what I'm seeing is a lot of DIAs which are now getting positive on the FMCG bank. So they're getting a lot of positives on that. So money is chasing now FMCG pack also. That happens. And if IT continues, then I think we'll be able to reach that level of 24,800, 25,000. Now it depends on your risk profile completely. Whether you want to chase this last 500 points and want to trade accordingly with stop loss, or you want to wait for a correction to trade in the markets. Choice is absolutely yours. I've told you, fundamentally, we are done with the rally. Maybe around 300 points more. That's all. Nothing more than that is actually guaranteed or warranted more than in this market. But if the market is going to be very forward looking, and that is the only, India is the only sweeter spot nowadays with all the macro factors and micro factors in place, then if you want to give a higher P multiple, that's perfectly fine. The market can go up to 25,500 also. But my suggestion would be that if the markets close above 24,500 to take that call and then play that trade. Let the market close about 24,500 and then you take that call. If that happens, then at least you will reach 24,868, which was the December highs. You will definitely test it. And if we go past that, then 21,200 is on the charts. So that is how you trade the markets. And it perfectly depends on your risk profile, how you to take the trade. Whether you want to wait for a dip or you want to chase the last 500, 600 points, it is entirely up to you. I've told you all the condition and combination what is going in the world, micro factors, etc., which is affecting India. If at all they are, that is how we are placed. So let's accordingly let's trade, and I just wish that you take the right kind of approach based on your risk appetite, based on your fundamental way of trading, and your losing capacity or winning capacity. So that has to come exactly from person to person, how he thinks about the markets and how much risk he can take. Whether he wants to chase those points also, that is perfectly on to the individual. So with this, I'll try to end my video for today. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you will like the video. Thanks so much.